Pro players are always hiding secret tactics from the average player, especially when it comes to competitive Fortnite. Your average player can go from being just okay to one of the best players in the game, all from their knowledge alone, which is why today we're taking a look at the 50 Fortnite tricks pros refuse to tell you, because these tips will make you go pro. And the first trick is knowing each material's health. The reason this is so important is because a wood wall initially has an HP of 90, brick walls have a starting HP at 99, and metal starts off with an HP of 110, making metal the best material to use if you're being continuously shot at. Wood is better for general transportation due to it having less HP and more commonly found with trees and houses. Bricks are a good mix. Using them whenever you run out of wood or metal is the best way to utilize it. This next trick might shock you, but is super useful, and that is phasing from above. Training on how to phase through builds is incredibly useful, as it lets you enter other players' boxes without having to use any ammo or pull out your pickaxe, allowing for a quick phase in and shooting your enemy. And trick number 3 is editing and shooting from a stair in your box. If you get your enemy in your box, you should try to place a stair to separate you. This allows for you to have full control of the box, as they cannot edit or place anything. You should then do a quick edit to get a clean shot on your opponent, eliminating them, or in the very least lowering their HP. Pro trick number 4, using snipers on structures. Snipers deal some crazy damage, and you can take advantage of that by using them to deal massive damage to the opponent's structure to get that shot in and taking that kill. And for the 5th trick on the list we have, pickaxe exploiting into boxes. Yep, that's right. You don't even need a sniper or to phase in to get in someone's box. You can just use your pickaxe to break into their box. This is probably the easiest and most viable trick to get into someone's box, especially if you place a stair positioned above your head. However, it is a bit slower than the other alternative, so if you do go for this, make sure to anticipate and be ready for some pushback. But trick number 6 is sure to guarantee you the upper hand. Low HP wall slide exploit. With the addition of sliding in Fortnite, it actually deals 25 health to structures. This allows for you to slide into a wall or structure with 25 or less HP to literally break into their build and surprise them. A good way to use this is if you shoot at their wall while you're sliding to them to be as quick as possible in their build. And trick number 7 is just as useful, taking advantage of the headshot damage of pistols. Yeah, that's right. Pistols are actually much better than you think. This is because pistols do double damage when aimed at the head of a player, while the other weapons do 50% more damage when landing a headshot. This is especially good with the hand cannon or the new Monarch pistol. For the 8th pro trick we have, metal usage indication. Whenever you see an enemy player switch to using metal in their builds off spawn, it means they are likely running out of materials or are on low health, trying to stop you from shooting them through their builds. Pro trick number 9, forcing stairs in combat. Next time you're inside an enemy box, placing a stair before they can will most of the times cause them to flee the box instead of breaking the stairs and taking the chance that you won't edit through and shoot them. And for the big number 10 we have, enabling visual audio. If you turn on visual audio in your settings, you can both listen for players and their movement will be displayed on your screen. Enabling this setting can help your accuracy during pre-firing. Our pro trick number 11 is just as good and maybe even better. Safe spot on enemy cones. Did you know that if you stand on the tip of an enemy cone, it's almost impossible for them to edit you down? The only way for them to drop you into their box is with a very specific diagonal edit, so in most cases you will be safe. And for pro trick number 12 we have build count audio cues. If you pay close attention to your game's audio, you will hear an audio cue warning you whenever you're running low on materials. Use this to know when to disengage to gather materials, or to let you know when to save on your materials. Pro trick number 13 is even more useful, as long as you have precaution while attacking enemy walls or structures. When you're attacking your opponent's build, you should always cover all your angles to make sure you don't get targeted by any third parties wanting to pick off an easy kill. This next one might be annoying, but it is very useful. Pro trick number 14, strategic third-party involvement. You should always take an opportunity to third-party when it can be effective to getting a kill. This especially counts if you can see the enemy being distracted or even weakened to easily pick off the competition. But remember, trick number 15 the moment you land. Quick resolution of off-spawn fights. If you're unfortunate enough to find yourself in a heated battle right off the rip, try to quickly end the fight by either taking out your opponent or possibly even running away so you don't end up being at a health or ammo disadvantage when going up against other players later on. And the 16th pro trick will definitely help you land your shots. Adjusting your aim for jump shots. If you struggle with landing headshots while jumping, you should try to aim for their chest, and the jump will guide your aim upwards, resulting in an almost guaranteed headshot. This might not sound as important as the other ones, but is incredibly underrated. Pro trick number 17, having confidence in your abilities. Yeah, it's that simple. Confidence will allow you to push harder and more effectively and will hold you back less when you're in battle. But this next one will completely fool your opponent because our 18th trick is baiting them with your pickaxe. If you swing your pickaxe towards their wall, but quickly flick it away, your opponent might try to place a wall just for there to already be one in their face. If you do this enough in a fight, they will never know when you're really swinging, making them incredibly nervous during the fight. While that might help you in the fight, there are times when you need to back off, which is why trick number 19 is to know when to retreat. There will be situations where you are better off retreating. Whether it's to fully escape the fight or just to heal for a moment, overstaying your welcome during a fight will make you fall victim to your opponent, especially if you're getting extra pressure from a third party. Knowing when to retreat is always smart, but knowing where to retreat to is also important, which ties into the 20th trick of the video, playing for position. Positioning is incredibly important when it comes to most games, especially Fortnite with the constantly moving storm. Rotating to a more dead side of the zone and using long-range weapons such as the pulse rifle, snipers, and more is a good strat to third-party others. This strategy helps you survive by keeping you at a distance while you still deal big damage to your opponents and getting that sweet victory royale. But another good trick to secure the victory is number 21. Manage your resources efficiently. This is especially important towards the end game, where managing your materials and ammo becomes crucial as there are less chests and ammo boxes and limited space and cover to gather materials at. You definitely don't want to be the guy hiding behind a tree because you ran out of materials, or losing the final 1v1 because you used your ammo carelessly. But on the topic of managing your resources, trick number 22 will definitely help you do that. Simplify your approach to eliminations. What this means is that you don't need to complicate your kill with unnecessary triple edits to show off. Instead, you should be focusing on observing your enemy's movements and playstyle, how they build, and what weapons are in their arsenal. This will allow you to actually focus on the game rather than getting caught up in showcasing some flashy mechanics that will end up getting you killed. And if you've ever watched Star Wars, you have probably heard of trick number 23, secure the high ground. Just like the last one, this one is super important during late game. This is because it gives you the tactical advantage of being able to spray down on your enemies and essentially controlling the fight, as it's much easier for you to push down on them than for them to push up to you. But if you're playing with other players, whether it's randoms or your friends, the 24th trick will definitely help you and the gang get the victory crown. Managing your ego in team play. When you're working with a team, you need to remember that you are all fighting the other teams. That means you have to share ammo and resources, even if you might need it. If someone else on the team is securing more eliminations than you might want to consider giving them a gun they're looking for or some ammo for them to more safely take the fights. And halfway through the list, we have trick number 25. Identify and address your weaknesses. The only way to improve and get better at the things you struggle with is to acknowledge them and do everything you can to get better at them. To understand where you need the improvement, track the reasons you've lost the game in at least 20 different rounds. Whether it's aim, movement, building, or in-game awareness, realizing what you struggle with is the first step to becoming a pro at it. And once you've identified and addressed these weaknesses, you can go over to the 26th trick, which is setting long-term goals. Short-term goals can be fun when they're reached, but the drive lasts way less than a long-term goal will. Setting a long-term goal will help you with consistency, as it's a long process and will more likely leave you with more improvements to your gameplay and competitive standings. Now that you have your goals set up, it's time to improve the area around you. Because trick number 27 is surround yourself with better players. It's harder to get better at the game if the people you play with or against are bad at the game, as it provides less challenge and you don't learn as much. However, if you play with better players, you can take notes on strategies, callouts, and mechanics from them. While playing against better players might be frustrating, it will force you to get better and better each time and increase your learning curve. There's a reason schools have teachers and not just students. And what does every pro player have in common? Well, they all follow trick number 28. Never skip your warm-ups. Working in a quick warm-up before hopping into an actual game will help your mind get into the zone and warm up your muscle memory to utilize your skills better when you actually play a proper game. Another thing you can learn from the pro players is the pro trick number 29. Watch and learn from professional players. You can do this by either watching Twitch streams, VODs, or YouTube videos and taking notes on how they move, build, any special strategies, and their callouts when playing with other players. Watching them play can also reveal a bunch of good and hidden spots you may not have seen before. Something you might also realize professional players use is the 30th trick, using performance mode. If you're a competitive player, you might want to try some lower mesh settings in performance mode, which reduces the input delay and enhances playability in more stacked lobbies. But now that you have your settings optimized, you can move over to trick number 31, optimal wall grabbing. If you hold out your build map, you can place a wall over a tile playstyle away, which can allow you to get a better, more strategic positioning to gain the upper hand. But that's not the only way to optimize the use of the build map, as trick 32 is using the extended editing range. By holding out the build map, you can also grab edits from further away. But walls aren't the only thing you should focus on, because trick 33 is protective floor placement. When you're making a peanut butter edit, you should always place a protective floor above you to allow you to take safer peeks. And on the topic of building tips, we have trick number 34, the right window technique. When in a fight, you should place a wall with a window on the right side for a safer way to engage with your enemies through a wall, as they likely won't see it coming. But to combat any walls used against you, make sure to follow the trick number 35, bullet bleeding. Did you know that some weapons like the Thunder SMG and some ARs can bleed bullets through walls, draining your opponent's health? But there are still some things you can't control. So by following trick number 36, you can at least adapt to it by playing according to your ping. You should always adjust your playstyle according to what your ping is. If you have high ping, you should always focus on pre-firing and creating space between you and your enemies, while someone with less ping can play more aggressively and push into boxes easier. And this next trick is definitely useful, because for trick number 37, we have push from different angles. If you're fighting someone in a box, damaging the box walls and roofs from different angles can lead to the enemy being unsure where you'll break through. Additionally, pushing them from different angles will cause them to always stay alert, which will definitely stress them out, leading to them making more mistakes. And the trick number 38 will stop you from making a mistake. Avoid wide open edits. You should never make wide open edits in your builds when firing back at an enemy unless you have a big health advantage, as having an open space will in most cases lead to a 50-50th situation and leave you open for third parties as well. Trick number 39 might be hard, but it's really useful. Change your tactics. If you change up your tactics frequently, you will be less predictable and will confuse the other player, as they can't predict where you're next or what you're doing next. This next one is a very underrated trick many players will ignore, and it is the 40th pro trick: study the map. The Fortnite island is constantly changing with each season, and even changes during the season. So knowing what spots are good peeking, hiding, has better loot, and are usually populated is key for an effective round. You can also study the subscribe button to show support and to be notified whenever we upload another useful video. We're getting close to the end, and as we've reached the 41st trick, balance aggression with caution. If you're able to know exactly when to put pressure on the opponent and when to back off and play slower, you will have a massive advantage and allow you to easily take control of the encounter to fit your health and weapon situation. And for trick number 42, we have participate in tournaments. You should always try to get in any type of tournament you can to get experience, because the truth is, you won't turn pro without facing some first, and smaller tournaments with either small or no prizes are a perfect way to practice with pressure. And trick number 43 might be situational, but is still golden. Leverage the snow biome. You can get some early game third-party engagements by taking advantage of the faster mobility in snow biomes, like using the ice to gain speed. And trick number 44 is really important: understanding how hitboxes work. Hitboxes are essentially the areas of which your shots will be registered and do damage. It controls what areas take how much damage, like the headshots dealing more damage than you shooting their feet. And trick number 45 can save you not only time, but also the win. Don't reload all the time. If you're using an AR and you fire 3 shots, you don't need to instantly reload it back to full, as it leaves a window open for you to get ambushed and caught off guard. And number 46 might sound crazy, but it's actually not. Play 0 builds to improve your aim. And yes, even though you may prefer the building game mode of the game, hopping into a match of 0 builds will force you to rely on your aim and your game knowledge, as you have no builds to save you. We're almost finished now, but we still have a few tricks left. Trick number 47, stay calm. One of the most important things when you're doing almost anything is to stay level-headed and not being tense. By staying calm, your brain will be able to pick up on cues way easier, as the traffic in your brain will not be as intense as when you're stressing out. We're at our last 3 now. Pro trick number 48, use drop maps. Drop maps are maps that show you the best places to drop on the map, with positioning being important. This is sure to help you climb up as you get the optimal spots. And for number 49, we have queue timing in tournaments. When you queue into a game can actually have an impact on your placement. What I would recommend is to queue into your final game when there is between 15 and 20 minutes left, as the people in your lobby are likely just WU keying and will leave the game once there is 5 minutes left to queue, dwindling the number of players you're going up against fast. And for the final trick, pros refuse to tell you, we have trick number 50. Trust the process. Believe in yourself. If you put in the hours, if you keep fighting for your dream of going pro, eventually it will happen. But the biggest killer of dreams can be your own self-doubt. So whatever hardships you encounter on your journey, just keep believing.